Hi guys, it's Mrs. White here. I'm excited to start our next science unit. This unit is Unit 5, and it is called Weather and Weathering. And the first section is going to be about weather. And if you look below down at these words, you will see some of the things we're going to be talking about in this unit. I'm so excited, so get ready for this unit. Hi guys, so I have some questions for you here. What is a meteorologist? What do they do? And how do they do that? You can watch this clip to find out the answer to those questions. Also, pay attention because in a few days, you're going to be becoming a meteorologist too, and you will come up with a weather forecast also. So get excited for that.
Well, hi, kids. How are you? I'm meteorologist J.D. Rudd. Welcome into the Weather Center. This is where I work in Kansas City at 41 Action News. I got a couple different things to talk to you about today, mainly about what I do and, of course, about the weather. So are you ready to learn a couple of things? You weren't loud enough. Are you ready to learn a couple of things? Okay, that's more like it. So there's my big giant head. Hi, see there's two of me now. Let's talk about the weather for a second. The weather can be several different things, kind of like this doggy, right? The weather can be wet. What a cute little pup. What else can the weather be? It can be snowy, and hopefully you're happy when there's snow out there. Have you ever seen 2 feet of snow before? Do you want me to show you 2 feet of snow? Look, there's 2 feet of snow. See, you don't see that around here very much, do you? No, not at all. What else can the weather be? It can be sunny and nice. That's a pretty bright and happy sun. He's bright because he's got sunglasses on and regular glasses. He's smart. He's a smart son. You know what else the weather can be? It can be mean. Yeah, like during tornado season, right? Any of you see any big scary storms? Yeah, they're kind of scary and mean. We don't like scary storms, so hopefully we can keep those away for a while. So let me ask you a question. Do you know what weather is? Weather is what's happening right now. You can look out the window, go outside. You know what's happening? That's the weather. If it's sunny, if it's warm, if it's cold, if it's raining, if it's storming, that's all the weather. And the really neat thing about the weather, we can't control it. It controls us. If you wore shorts today, if you wore a coat today, that's because the weather made you do it. You didn't choose it. You had to because of the weather. Now, I want to talk to you about a couple of things that I do. My job, what is it that I do as a meteorologist on TV? Well, magic. There's a little bit of magic in what I do. It takes a lot of work. I spend a few hours each day working and looking over all kinds of papers and forecast stuff. Do you want to see some of what I do? Okay, here's an example of what I do. Do you like cake? I love cake. Think of cake. Look at all the layers in that cake, right? That's kind of how the atmosphere works, the earth, the air around us, and that's what I study, is all the layers that we have in the atmosphere, and that's how we predict the weather. How do we do that exactly? Well, let me show you. Do you like balloons? We take these big, giant balloons and we send them way up in the sky. And when we do that, we measure the temperature and the air pressure and other things in the atmosphere. That way we can know what the weather's going to do. And we have all kinds of balloons all over the country to help measure the weather high up above us, way up in the sky. Well, what do we do with all that information? Well, it comes back into a computer, and then I do things like this. I look at these charts with all these colors and these lines on there. It's really geeky. It's kind of nerdy. Look, charts like this that tell me where it might rain, charts where it shows me there's a warm front, even big, scary charts like this. Lots of drawing. I do lots of drawing and coloring in my job sometimes. I try to stay within the lines, but not always. What else do? I look at a lot of numbers, a lot of math and science. Any of you like math or science? If you do, maybe you could be a meteorologist someday. There's a lot of numbers that I have to work with. Also, we use things like radar and satellite. You've seen me talk about this on TV before, right? When the clouds are in, that's on the satellite. The radar shows the rain, shows us when it might storm and things like that too. That's one of the ways that we do this is with radar and satellite, one of the many tools that we have. So what happens after I look at all these things, all those layers in my cake? What do? Well, I put it all together, and then I sweat, and I work at the computer, and I type in everything that I can to get ready for the news. Have any of you seen me on the news before? Does your mom or dad watch the news? Can I tell you something? There's magic in this room. Do you want to see some of the magic? This is the boring stuff. Let's go take a look at some of the magic. Let me show you some magic that I have. Look at this over here. This is my magic wall. This big green wall is where I stand. You don't usually see this on TV. We can't show it to you, but let me show you some magic of what happens when I step in front of this wall. Does this kind of look familiar now? Hang on, let me go back. Let me go back real quick. See, there's no map behind me. It's a magic green wall, but do you know what I can do in front of this wall? I can write things on this wall, like I can say, "Hi, kids." I could put some funny pictures up on the wall, like this guy that's huffing and puffing. He's just really windy, kind of like me. Ask your mom or your dad. So that's my magic green wall. Do you want to see the magic green wall one more time? Let's go look at the magic green wall one more time. There it is. See, there's my magic green wall. Most of where I work is inside this magic green wall. So yeah, you'll see me over here sometimes, but a lot of my time is at the magic green wall. It's so much fun. And that's one of the ways that we use to tell you about the weather. We look at all the information and we write it all down and we put it in our computer and then we forecast it on TV for just a couple of minutes. Hopefully, maybe you learned a little something and maybe one of these days you can come check out my magic green wall. Thank you so much for watching the video. I'm very happy to be in your classroom and I hope you have a really, really nice afternoon. Take care.
Clouds are a big part of predicting the weather. So meteorologists use clouds a lot when they're predicting. Watch this next clip to find out how clouds are formed.
Clouds can be all types of shapes and sizes up in the sky, but their journey up there begins down here on the ground with us. Today we're talking about cloud formation on Weather 101. Hi there, Aaron here, your friendly neighborhood meteorologist, and I'm back today to answer your questions about the weather. We've all done it. You're sitting outside on a nice summer day and you look up in the sky and you see a rabbit or a dinosaur or a hand or something like that up in the clouds. But did you know that all of those clouds that you see up in the sky had their start down here on the ground with us? Today we're talking about how clouds form. To form the most basic clouds, there's three things that you need: evaporation, convection, and condensation. First, evaporation. This is when water changes from its liquid form into an invisible gas called water vapor. This happens when the sun heats the water in the ocean, lakes, rivers, and even the ground. Just like when boiling water turns to steam, the water that's heated by the sun turns into an invisible vapor. The vapor then rises from the surface and into the atmosphere, just like steam rising from a boiling pot of water. This is called convection. The vapor continues rising higher and higher into the atmosphere, all the while getting colder and colder. Eventually, the gas becomes cold enough that it turns back into a liquid. As it does that, the water grabs onto tiny particles of dust that are floating around in the air and creates tiny drops of water. This is called condensation. Because water molecules really like to stick together, these drops start to latch on to each other. Eventually, enough of these drops get together and form those puffy white clouds that you and I see. It's worth noting that the clouds we're talking about in this video are those nice, fair weather cotton ball clouds that you see on nice days. On stormy days, those clouds are formed by a different process. They form when air is forced to rise by a cold or warm front moving through the area. But that's a topic for another video. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you have a weather-related question, just drop them in the comment section down below and I'll try to answer them on another edition of Weather 101. If you like this video, just give it a thumbs up and don't forget to rate it, share it, and even subscribe to the channel. I post a new video every Wednesday. And you can keep the learning going on Facebook and Twitter at Weather101net. That's where I post a new weather word of the week every Monday and a new weather fact every Friday. And that'll do it for this edition of Weather 101. Until next time, see ya!
Now that you know how clouds are formed, you'll watch this next clip that talks about the three different types of clouds and what they mean as far as the weather goes.
We've been using them since the early day of man to help forecast the weather. This week we're talking about clouds and their types on Weather 101. Hi there, Aaron here, your friendly neighborhood meteorologist, and I'm back to answer your questions about the weather. The new Avengers movie came out this weekend, Age of Ultron, so I thought I'd wear my Captain America shirt this week in honor of that and give you a quick rundown of the movie. So if you don't, I'm just kidding. This is a video about weather. Actually, in this week's video, we're going to be talking about a weather topic, of course. And this week we're talking about the different types of clouds that are up in the sky. In a previous video we talked about what forms clouds, how clouds are made. And this week we're going to talk about the different types of clouds that are up in the sky. In general, there are three different types of clouds up in the sky: cumulus, stratus, and cirrus. And what we're going to do in this week's video is talk a little bit about each one of these types, how they got their name, and what they mean to forecasting. Let's start with cumulus clouds, since they're the most versatile type of cloud up in the sky. Cumulus clouds are the clouds that are the big white puffy clouds, and they look like a whole bunch of cotton balls piled together. In fact, cumulus clouds get their name from the Latin word cumulo, which means heap or pile. The bottom or base of these clouds is actually very low to the ground. In fact, some of them are so low they're only about 1,800 feet off the ground. And depending on the height of the cloud, that'll tell you what type of weather that cloud is producing. If they're very short, puffy clouds in a clear blue sky, that usually means very good weather. But if they're very tall, dark, and gray, that can mean very bad storms. Stratus clouds aren't the best type of cloud to see up in the sky because they're very flat and gray, and they're very uniform looking. They don't make for a very pretty sky. In fact, the word stratus comes from the Latin word strato, meaning layer. These types of clouds usually form a little higher than the standard cumulus cloud, about 6,000 feet up in the atmosphere. And they generally mean very overcast skies, you know, those gray, cloudy days that just kind of drag on for the entire day. They can also produce drizzle throughout the entire day, steady rain, or even some steady snow. And the last group of clouds we'll talk about are called cirrus clouds. In Latin, the word cirrus actually means curling lock of hair. So as the name would suggest, these clouds look very thin and wispy up in the sky. In fact, they actually look a little bit like a feather or the mane of a horse or something like that. These clouds form very high up in the atmosphere, about 16,000 feet or so on average. That's so high, in fact, that most of these types of clouds are made of ice crystals instead of water droplets. If you see these types of clouds in a clear blue sky, that generally means very nice weather is going to be around the area for a few days. Underneath each one of these groups of clouds are subgroups of clouds. For example, if I add the word nimbo to any of these groups of clouds, it means that that type of cloud is producing rain. Nimbostratus clouds, for example, are those gray, flat, layered clouds that we talked about on overcast days, but those clouds are producing rain. A cumulonimbus cloud is a very tall, puffy, white cloud in the cumulus group that's commonly associated with storms, severe weather, and tornadoes. And these general types of clouds can actually mix together and create combination names for clouds. For example, cirrostratus clouds are very flat like stratus clouds, but they form very high up in the atmosphere like cirrus clouds. Knowing these different types of clouds and what they mean can help you forecast the weather. In fact, we've been doing it for centuries before we came up with computer models to help us predict the weather. In general, there's just these three groups of clouds and everything kind of falls underneath that, but there are a lot of different types of clouds out there. So if you'd like to learn more about all the different types of clouds that you see in the sky in your area, I'll put a link down below in the description to a cloud atlas. And that'll do it for this edition of Weather 101. Thanks for watching, everybody. And remember, if you have a weather-related question, just drop them in the comment section down below, and I'll try to answer them on another edition of Weather 101. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well at Weather101net. Until next time, see ya!
Alright guys, you made it through Unit 5, Lesson 1, so you can pass that off. Your exit ticket is going through this Play Pause It and answering all the questions, so don't worry about filling out another exit ticket. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.